I was unavailable. The calls didn't stop. They began leaving messages on my voicemail at work, at home, even through social media. The tone of their messages shifted from casual updates to desperate pleas. My mom started calling several times a day, her voice getting thinner with each call. "Marin, honey, please pick up. We need to talk," she'd beg. "John's been telling us how much he misses you. We're all really worried. You've been acting so distant lately. We just want to fix things." But I was done. I had spent my entire life trying to gain their approval, trying to be the perfect daughter. I'd bent over backward for years, sacrificing my own happiness, my own achievements, for the sake of their happiness. And where had it gotten me? In a place where even my best efforts were dismissed, and my worth was measured by how well I could cater to John's endless needs. It was easier now, though. I was learning how to live without constantly waiting for their validation, and as the weeks passed, I started to find a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. I threw myself into my work even more. The projects I'd been working on for months were finally reaching completion, and I began seeing the rewards of my dedication. My boss recognized my commitment, and I was given a promotion. I started networking more, meeting new people who appreciated me for who I was, not just what I could do for them. The more time passed, the easier it became to ignore their calls, their attempts at reconciliation, and it wasn't that I hated them. I didn't even feel angry anymore. I just realized that I needed to create a life where I didn't depend on their approval, a life where I was enough, just as I was. One day, I checked my phone and saw a text from my mom that stopped me in my tracks. "We miss you, Marin. We know we've made mistakes. Can we at least talk? We want to understand what went wrong." I stared at the screen, unsure how to respond. Part of me wanted to reach out, to go back to the family I once tried so hard to please, but then I remembered the feeling of freedom I'd found. How, for the first time in a long time, I had been able to just breathe. I had built a life for myself that didn't require their constant validation. I realized then that the distance wasn't just physical, it was emotional. I had spent so long trying to fill the void in my relationship with them, but the truth was, it would never be enough, not until they truly saw me, and I wasn't sure they ever would. Instead of responding to the text, I deleted it. I didn't feel the need to explain myself anymore. It felt strange at first, making that choice. It felt like cutting a piece of myself out, like losing something familiar and safe. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the person I had been, the one constantly seeking their approval, wasn't the person I wanted to be anymore. I had become stronger. I had learned to stand on my own. It was time for me to live for myself, not for anyone else. As the months went by, the calls stopped coming. I knew they were still trying to make sense of what had happened. Maybe they thought I'd eventually forgive them, or maybe they believed I'd come crawling back, as I always had before. But this time was different. I didn't need them, and, for the first time in my life, that realization didn't feel empty or lonely. It felt empowering. I'd learned to let go. And as I sat on the balcony of my apartment one evening, looking out at the San Francisco skyline, I realized that I was finally free. I was unavailable. My family tried everything to get in touch with me, emails, texts from different numbers, even messages through my cousins on social media. But each time, I stayed silent. My mom's messages grew more frantic. "Marianne, this isn't like you. We're worried. What's going on? Why are you being so difficult?" I ignored them. Instead of responding, I focused on rebuilding my life without them. No more rushing for weekend flights to Denver. No more endless phone calls with John about his gaming accomplishments. No more forcing myself to sit through family dinners where I felt like I didn't matter. I redecorated my apartment, swapping out family photos for artwork I loved. I joined a hiking group, started taking cooking classes, and spent my free weekends doing things that brought me joy. The constant burden of trying to earn their love was finally lifted. I felt lighter than I had in years. "Your brother is very upset," my mom wrote in one of her emails. "He says you're being selfish, that you ruined the nice family vacation we had." I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. They had taken my place on that vacation without a second thought, and yet somehow, I was the one at fault. That email summed up everything: their tendency to twist the narrative, making John the victim and me the villain for simply standing up for myself. It was classic. My dad tried another approach. He left me a voicemail, a rare moment of acknowledgement. "Honey, if this is about the cruise, maybe we should have handled it differently." The understatement in his voice was typical of him, acknowledging the problem without ever really facing it. Too little, too late. I added his new number to my blocked list, and though it stung a little, I didn't let myself cave in. Every time I refused to engage, each call I ignored and message I deleted, I felt like I was reclaiming a part of myself that had been lost for years. 3 months of silence passed before my mom finally showed cracks in her facade. Her latest voicemail was different, raw, emotional, and free of excuses for John. "Marianne," she sobbed, "I understand now. The cruise, we took it without you. You worked so hard to give us something special, and we never even thought about how much it would hurt you. We took you for granted because you were always strong, always the successful one. We thought you didn't need us the way John did. I see now how wrong we were." My dad followed with a message of his own, one filled with regret. "Sweet pea, I've been a coward all these years. I've watched your mother and brother overlook everything you've done, and I never stood up for you. I let it happen because it was easier. You deserved better from me. You deserved better from all of us." For the first time, I heard true regret in his voice. But John, he remained silent. No apology, no acknowledgement, no change. In his mind, I was probably still the one at fault, the one being unreasonable. His silence spoke louder than any words ever could. It confirmed why I had stepped away in the first place. My parents were finally seeing their mistakes, but John was unchanged, entitled and expecting everything to revolve around him. As I listened to their voicemails, I sat in my home office, gazing out at the San Francisco skyline as the sun set over the bay. It was a moment of peace, a moment of clarity. Their belated acknowledgement of their behavior didn't erase the years of hurt, but it did validate my decision. Their desperate attempts to reach me proved what I had suspected all along. They only valued me when they realized they couldn't take me for granted anymore. That night, I deleted their messages and looked at my reflection in the window. My posture was different now, shoulders back, head held high. A quiet confidence replaced the self-doubt that had defined me for so long. The daughter who would have done anything for their approval was gone. In her place stood a woman who understood that their approval had never been worth the cost. 6 months of silence had changed me in ways I hadn't expected. Without the constant weight of trying to please them, I found energy I never knew I had. I redecorated my apartment, replacing the beige walls my mom had insisted on with colors I loved. The formal furniture she'd pushed on me, designed to make me look established, was donated in favor of pieces that suited my true style. Every change felt like reclaiming a small piece of myself. Weekends once filled with exhausting family obligations became mine again. I joined a hiking group, began taking photography classes, and even started learning to sail, a dream I'd always had but never had time to pursue. The money I'd once spent on flights and expensive gifts for John now went into my own adventures. I set up a travel fund for myself, planning trips I'd always wanted to take but never had the chance to. Work life improved too, without the constant interruptions from my mom's dramatic calls about John's latest crisis. I was more focused and creative. I received another promotion, this time allowing myself to celebrate it fully. My colleagues noticed a change in me, more confidence, more presence in meetings, a voice that wasn't afraid to speak up. But even in the silence, I still had moments of doubt. Late at night, the guilt would creep in. I'd been conditioned to believe that I was responsible for their happiness, that setting boundaries made me selfish. But as the months passed, that guilt started to fade. I began seeing a therapist, someone who helped me understand that my family's behavior wasn't just thoughtless, it was emotional abuse. She helped me realize that my silence wasn't punishment, it was self-protection. Their messages kept coming, shifting from anger to desperation. My mom's latest email revealed just how much they had relied on me. "We didn't realize how much we depended on you until you were gone. John is struggling without your help. We don't know what to do." Even in her apology, she was still focused on John's needs, but for the first time, I felt no urge to rush in and fix everything. Their struggles weren't mine to carry anymore. One evening, while sitting on my balcony and watching the sunset, I listened to my dad's final voicemail. "I miss you, sweet pea," he said, his voice full of regret. "I miss the daughter I never really knew." I allowed myself to cry, not from guilt or sadness, but from a deep sense of growth. The daughter he missed was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who understood that love shouldn't require self-sacrifice. A year passed since the cruise incident, and my parents showed up at my office unannounced. My assistant called, sounding protective. "Your parents are in the lobby," she said. "Do you want me to have security escort them out?" I took a deep breath. looked at the photo of my family I'd recently removed from my desk, and made a decision. Send them up, I said calmly. When they entered, they looked different, smaller, almost humbled. My mom's usual confidence was replaced by uncertainty. My dad couldn't even meet my eyes at first. The silence stretched, until my mom spoke, her voice breaking. We sold the house, she said. We told John he needs to support himself. We're trying to fix things, with you, with everything. My dad handed me a thick envelope. These are from the cruise, he said. Every receipt, every charge, we want to pay you back. I didn't take the envelope. It was never about the money, I said softly. It was about respect, about being seen. My mom began crying, real tears, not the manipulative ones I'd grown used to. We know, she whispered. We see that now. We've been in therapy, trying to understand why we treated you this way. They didn't ask for forgiveness, didn't demand I resume contact. Instead, they offered me something new, respect for my boundaries. As they left, my dad handed me a letter. Take your time, he said. Read it when you're ready. We'll wait for you to decide if and when you want us in your life again. 2 years later, I read their letter. It was a long confession, acknowledging all the times they'd overlooked me for John. But it wasn't just an apology, it was a recognition of who I'd become despite their treatment. John never apologized. Last I heard, he was working at a local gaming store, finally forced to support himself at 39. My parents, though, had learned to set boundaries with him. They stopped enabling his behavior. As for me, I've changed. The woman who would have accepted being replaced on that cruise is a stranger to me now. I've learned that true strength isn't about enduring mistreatment, it's about knowing when to say enough. My worth isn't measured by my family's approval anymore, and that's the most valuable lesson I could have learned. I've started rebuilding a relationship with my parents, on my terms. We meet occasionally, just quiet conversations where they listen more than they talk. It's not perfect, but it's real, and that's all I ever wanted. Last week, my dad called to tell me he was proud of me, not because of my career, but because I stood up for myself. You taught us how to be better parents, he said, by showing us what we almost lost. My mom added that watching me build my life helped her see what she'd done wrong. We tried to make you smaller, she said, when we should have been helping you shine. Sometimes, I think back to that cruise. What felt like the ultimate betrayal was actually the catalyst for my transformation. By replacing me, they set me free, to become the woman I was always meant to be.